Servus, hi, welcome back to probably our last episode of Tell Me Why. So we found Marianne's attic in the barn, and we are about to find out their combination. But first I want to read all of this. So once upon a time there was a princess who felt hopeless.
Recognize this?
Yeah. It's from the story where the goblins tricked the Mad Hunter.
It looks like it, but it's different, right? Can you check the book?
Okay.
Well, here it is.
That one.
Why do you think she changed the picture?
I don't know. Maybe it's a message. Like, the differences between the two mean something.
Something about Marianne, right? Since she's the princess?
Yeah. Why don't we try to find them all and then see if it makes any sense?
The differences, or should we read the story first? I want to read the story first. The goblins tricked the Mad Hunter. Once upon a time, in a castle just beyond the ancient and deep forest, the Mad Hunter was punished by the Gold Lady for failing to return with the wise princess. For your failure, said the Gold Lady, I will take your left hand. You will return to the ancient and deep forests and hunt the wise princess, and if you can bring her back, I will return your hand to you. Fail again, and I will take your right hand. The Mad Hunter could hunt with just his right hand, but if he lost both his hands, he would never be able to hunt again and would no longer be a Mad Hunter, but only a madman. So the Mad Hunter returned to the ancient and deep forest, searching with his piercing eye for the wise princess. The crafty goblins were out searching for mischief when they saw the Mad Hunter on the prowl. "We cannot let him find the princess," said the goblins, and so they devised a plan. It was wash day, and the princess had hung her beautiful gown out to dry. They stole it from the line and stuffed it full of straw, and then returned to where the Mad Hunter was scouring the paths of the forest. Oh, that's not right. Here. As the Mad Hunter turned down a path that would have led him to the big wooden house, the goblins danced the straw princess in and out of view in the opposite direction. The ruse worked. The hunter fixed his piercing eye on them and followed. Through the day and into the night, they led him away from the true princess. As night fell, the crafty goblins realized the error in their plan. The Mad Hunter was now hunting them. If he caught them, he would not be kind. So they put their heads together to come up with a plan. It did not take them long to realize where they should go. They led the Mad Hunter to the edge of the deep and icy lake, and where he came into view, they weighed the fake princess down with the stones and dropped her into the frigid water. Careful not to plunge into the depths themselves, lest the moon hag take her revenge on them, the Mad Hunter removed his clothing and dove in after the fake princess. He followed the shape of the sinking princess deep into the chilly water down below where ice covered the lake's surface. Finally he caught her, but when he spun her toward him, he realized she had no head and that her body was stuffed with straw. And then he felt a slippery fin brush his shoulder as the moon hag loomed overhead. The next morning the princess went to retrieve her gown from the clothing line and found it was gone. She immediately suspected the goblins of mischief and called, "Goblins, did you take my gown?" The goblins emerged from the cave and nodded sadly. "Now what will I wear?" asked the princess, sad and angry that she had lost her only dress. "Let us explain," said the goblins. So they told the princess the story of the Mad Hunter, and then they produced his clothing, which was a bit large for the princess, but much warmer than her beautiful gown. She immediately forgave them. "Thank you, my friends," she said, "for rescuing me, and for this clothing, which will keep me much warmer in the winter than my beautiful gown." The Mad Hunter was forced to remain below the lake with the moon hag, but she did not kill him, because even reduced to just one hand, he was too useful a servant. Though he plotted a day he would emerge to once again hunt the wise princess and earn back his left hand. And that is the story of how the crafty goblins rescued the wise princess from the Mad Hunter. Okay, now we're gonna look at the picture. So, in the picture, okay, the princess...
Okay, spot the differences.
The princess
It
is here.
moves. Oh. Some of these parts are buttons.
What?
Huh. No goblins.
Yeah. In the original, the goblins managed to save the princess from the Mad Hunter.
So we saved Marianne from something. But not in this version? Wait. The princess is running away from the Mad Hunter.
It
Yeah.
was sent by the Gold Lady, according to the story.
Do you think the gold lady could have been Marianne's mom? I mean,
Maybe.
she always used to say she moved to the end of the world to get away from her family.
Huh. Yeah, you're right. She ran away. Just like the princess is here.
It's not the same title, so I guess that counts as a difference.
Oh, so I am selecting the differences. Okay. Well, there's something
The Mad
missing.
Hunter still has 2 hands here.
So this was either before the gold lady cut off his other one, or after he earned it back?
Which either makes it before most of the stories, or after.
Yeah, at some point when she was running away from whatever the hell the Mad Hunter meant to Marianne.
He's a father. Okay, yeah, that tree is different. The castle is different.
Why do you think she added that castle in the background?
See the color of the flag? It could be her
That's it.
Oh no!
What's in there?
God dang it. It's that symbol. Okay. Let's examine. What's in there?
Pictures.
Ooh, she won
Letters.
prizes. She was a ballerina.
Have you ever seen any of these?
All the pictures of Marianne I've
A
ever
dancer.
seen were the ones hanging on the walls.
Okay, let's look at all of that.
The gold lady. That was definitely her mom.
So, did Marianne grow up kinda rich?
Maybe. Would have been nice to have some of that. Oh, poor thing.
Why would she keep an old drawing of a pet in here?
Polly. I don't know. My birdie Polly. She won prizes.
I can't believe she was a ballet dancer. Marianne.
And a good one, too.
God, that's so not her. Did you know she studied engineering?
No. But it looks like she changed her major to visual arts.
I don't think she actually got it changed. The paper's not signed and it's all wrinkled. Like
But-
someone tried to throw it away.
She wanted to, but they didn't want her to. Okay, there's a letter.
An artsy environmentalist. Yep, that sounds like Marianne's exact kind of catnip.
Catnip. Don't call him that. Environment over economy. Okay. He looks good, though. God, let's read that. Marianne, I can't do this anymore. You deserve better than cliche bullshit like, it's not you, it's me. But the truth is, it's all just been too much to deal with, and I've realized I'm just not ready. Maybe if you could have dealt with all this on our own, without your mom constantly putting pressure on us, things could have been different. But the damage is done, and it's probably too late for that now. I'm so sorry. You're an amazing person, and you made me a better man. I hate myself for doing this, but I feel like we'll both be better off apart. There I go with the cliches again. Please don't ever stop being who you are. Here, but I'm gone, Brent. What? So that is Brent?
Could this guy have been any more cryptic?
Tyler,
Okay.
see that little light? I think we need to solve this one next.
That one? Okay. How her cruel parents kept her locked away in their musty palace. Okay.
There's the gold lady again. She's all over the board. There was a figure of her in that stash by the Mad Hunter painting, right?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe all of this is related to what we found in there.
Okay, so no story to read in the Book of Goblins? Okay, I don't know. I can't stop anything in the middle of this. Well, 2 trees? What? What?
Hey, I can move the piece next to the gold lady.
All these pictures. They look like images from Marianne's life before Delos, don't they?
Oh.
Well, some of them do anyway.
Maybe that's it then. We need to figure out which ones are real?
They drove away her bird because she's sad about that
Is the gold
bird.
lady setting the animals free?
Judging from the broomstick, I'd say she's getting rid of them, not setting them free.
She wanted her to be a ballet dancer, maybe?
The princess dancing, playing violin, spinning wool. I guess this is stuff she did for fun?
Notice how unhappy she looks in all these pictures? I don't think she was having any fun.
He wanted her to be an engineer.
The wise princess looks like she's trying to run away.
And she's being watched by the gold lady.
And she wanted this guy, the painter.
What's the gold lady do? Is that it?
It's opening.
I don't like that it cuts it when I do something right.
What's in there this time?
Okay, look at that. Okay, that little cabin that we're living in now.
Is that Carol?
Yeah, and Sam. Look at him. He's so young.
Marianne's so pretty.
Happy.
Okay, look at that first.
Wow. She worked for a watchmaker in Juneau before she moved to Delos. No wonder she was so handy.
Here's Vandello's Crossy Pal's number. I let him know you were interested in the house he's selling. Okay. Well, let's look at that first. Salmonberry Park, Kodiak Island. Oh boy.
Salmonberry Park. Huh. Is that some kind of commune?
Looks like it. So weird to imagine her living in a community like that. With, you know, other people.
The weirdest part is how they all seem to love her. Where was prom queen Marianne when the whole town was turning on us?
The good people of Salmonberry Park. Don't be a stranger. Keep on looking for those answers to the questions in your head to which you're blind. Shelley. We miss you already. Solon Brownin. Sorry we're losing you to modern civilization. We'll miss your positive attitude and your adventurous spirit. Also your wild edibles picking skills. Pretty Marcus. Bon voyage, Marianne. Marianne, you have the warmest, most beautiful aura, and I know you'll keep on shining wherever you land. Peace and blessings, Jordan. Thanks for being a little ray of sunshine. Godspeed. I like your pictures. Cute. So what's that?
Her father.
Oh. Marianne, I hope this letter finds you, but since you didn't leave any contact information, I will have to send it to your aunt and hope for the best. I'm writing to inform you that your mother passed away last week. We just had a funeral reception. The house has been filled with people all day. Friends, family, colleagues, and church members. It's now 11 p.m. and I'm sitting alone at the kitchen table surrounded by dozens of trays of food, flowers, and sympathy cards. Your cousin Adie brought in a beautiful photo album of our holiday pictures in La Connor. You're there in all of them, but you weren't here today. We haven't heard from you in 4 years, and you can only hope you made it to Alaska or wherever you are, and that you and your children are both safe. Your mother had been sick and depressed for years, and you can imagine why. The pain of being shunned by her own daughter, knowing she would never get to see her grandchild grow up, it spread through her body like cancer and consumed her completely. All this suffering simply because you ran away like a temperamental little girl instead of accepting her help when you got pregnant out of wedlock, after dropping out of college and without a penny to your name. She only stepped up to help because she knew you weren't ready to raise a child properly, Marianne. A mother's duty doesn't even end when her children leave home. Now that you're a mother yourself, I hope you will begin to understand that good parenting isn't about coddling children. It's about providing for them and shaping them into people they're supposed to become, whether they like it or not. No, absolutely not. I won't trouble you again. You've made your intentions clear. I just thought you should know. So he blamed her for her mother's death. Great, that's
What
good.
the hell? Marianne was pregnant in 1992, before she even got here.
Before us. Do we have a long-lost sibling out there somewhere?
It's possible, but she could have given it up or miscarried. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Do you think we could track down her father?
You mean the grandfather she never told us about? I don't think I want to.
You're not at all excited about having more family.
You saw the letter. I don't think we want any part of that.
Fine. Let's keep digging.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Tyler. Okay. Which one should we go next? Alyson
Just
wants
lit
that
up,
one.
so I think we're supposed to try this one next.
One day she took her tiara and ran away to the forest. Examine
What's
that.
this?
Some sort of map?
This looks like a dinner party with the old bear and the very old beaver.
Okay, yeah. And
What's that plant thing on top?
Oh, those are definitely salmonberry flowers.
Hey, that degree in outdoor studies is paying off.
That's the Gold Lady's castle.
I'm just selecting everything just to look what it's doing.
Some sort of clock? This is the princess's. It seems like it's not doing anything.
Yeah, because it's not.
Maybe it's broken?
No, I'm just not doing it right. I'm just gonna deselect all of that. Okay. I just want to hear what he's got to say about this one.
This is the princess's house.
Oh, that's all you're saying. Okay. So she started off
That's the
here.
Gold Lady's castle.
And then she went there, maybe?
Some sort of clock?
And then maybe
What's that
this?
plant thing on top?
Oh, those are definitely salmonberry flowers. This is the princess's house.
And then the party
This
in
looks
the
like a
woods.
dinner. Damn it. Why is nothing happening?
It's wrong. That's why nothing's happening.
This looks like a dinner party with the old bear and the very old beaver. This is the princess's. Come on.
Okay. Then maybe she went there first.
What's that plant thing on top?
Oh, those are definitely salmonberry flowers.
Hey,
Some sort of clock? This is the princess's house. This looks like a dinner party with the old bear
Yeah.
and the very old beaver.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
what's in there?
There.
Another letter?
Let
The
me read that.
princess's loss. Is this from the Book of Goblins?
Not that I know of.
Well, sure looks like it could be.
The Princess's Lost Treasure. We got an achievement for it just now. Read that. The Princess's Lost. Once upon a time in an ancient and deep forest, there lived a wise princess in a big wooden house. She had made it through the woods and to that house with nothing left but the clothes on her back and a single item from her old life, a splendid tiara. She lost almost everything in her desperate flight from the Mad Hunter. The trees tore the rucksack from her back and shredded her dress and left a pattern of red welts on her skin. But through it all, she clutched the tiara close to her chest, fearing any misstep could cause it to fall from her arms and break. The tiara had its own spot in the big wooden house. Sorry. A pillow near the window where the sun would catch on its surface to shine and wink. The princess could stare for hours at the tiara, marveling in its beauty and running her thumb down its curves. Every morning she would wake and she would tend to it, polishing its every surface to be sure it shone as brightly as it possibly could. Then she would pluck it up, place it upon her head, and walk the woods feeling somehow more complete. Because what, after all, was a princess without a crown? Every night she would place it upon its pillow, give it a quick kiss, and go to bed. On her way she would pause and glance back to be sure it was still there. She hated to be separated from it, but she knew it was safest on the pillow while she slept. Okay, next. One night the princess woke to a raging storm. The wind howled against the walls, rattling the windows in their panes. Fearing a gust might burst open a window and blow the tiara to the ground, she plucked it from its pillow and brought it to bed with her. All through the night she held the tiara close, and in the morning she woke to find herself still cradling it. The storm had passed, and the princess relaxed. That day was the same as any other, though she perhaps gave the tiara an even more thorough cleaning, grateful as she was that nothing had gone wrong. That night she placed the tiara upon its pillow, gave it a quick kiss, and went to bed, pausing on her way to be sure it was still there. In the morning she woke and sensed immediately that something was wrong. In the living room the tiara lay upon the ground, broken, dull, and faded. Nothing else in the room had changed. The pillow was exactly where she had left it. The window was closed. There had been no storm, no wind, no sign that anything at all could have gone amiss. Only the broken tiara, mute upon the ground. She picked it up and held it in her arms with a guttural cry. But though she tried to fix and to polish it, it was gone, beyond repair, and with no shine left. The princess held the tiara through the day and through the next night, sitting in the same spot at the window where she used to polish it. When the sun rose, she looked outside, and her gaze fixed upon the sapling. She remembered how this sapling had survived the winter, clinging to life despite the frozen and unforgiving earth. Without a word, she went out and buried the tiara in the ground beneath the sapling, and as the final scoop of the dirt fell, the tiara felt truly gone, and with it the final link to her old self. She could only go forward and find a new place for herself in this world, where she was no longer truly a princess in a tiara and a beautiful gown, but a wan woman alone in a deep and ancient wood. And that was how the princess lost her most precious treasure, and her title. We heard our mom read that to us, right?
And that was how the princess lost her most precious
She
treasure.
read that the night she
and her
died.
title. That was the story she read us that night.
God, it makes sense now.
Yeah, she got pregnant. And she ran away to start a new life. And then she made her way to Delos Crossing, where she was finally happy. But then the baby died.
I can't even imagine how she must have felt.
It's gonna be tough.
She left everything behind, built a whole new life for him. And then he was just gone.
I guess having us helps her move on. But when it looked like we were gonna be taken away, she snapped. She just couldn't lose any more children. It really wasn't anything we did.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with all this.
I don't either.
Open
But
up the chest.
all I wanted was to understand what happened to her. And now I do.
Yeah. But we still haven't seen what's in that chest.
The music is getting ominous, I'm afraid. So what were the letters?
So how do we open it?
E-O-L.
All right, should be easy enough.
Leo. Oh my god, that's a name. Why am I so stupid? No! Give me back my E. Yep,
Yes.
Leo. That was his name. What is happening?
Whoa.
Did it just get darker in here?
I mean, holy shit. She was an engineer, truly. I want to look at that first.
Baby blanket. Ollie. She noticed. I was her son.
Dear Alyson and Ollie, we write stories to understand and be understood. But what good is a story without a first act? I'm sorry I kept mine from you for so long. All my love, goblins.
Why does she have a photo of that tree locked in here?
Maybe it's important. That tree. Where is that? I said where she buried the baby.
Is that...
Leo Ronan.
Why didn't she tell us about him? Why didn't she tell us any of this?
I mean, it's fucking terrible. That's why. Allie, did we do the right thing opening this?
We did. It's better we know what happened, even if it's hard. And there's one more thing we need to see.
Are you sure?
Yes. Come on, let's go to the dock. It's time to finish this.
Oh boy. Okay, I know I promised you we'd do this episode, but...
Hey.
What?
Now that we're done with the important stuff, maybe we can take a crack at these?
Oh yeah, maybe we do that first. Okay, we can do that.
Very Old Beaver's repair list.
That's the story where the princess's house gets damaged by a storm and the animals help her fix it.
Yeah. What did they do to fix it again?
Okay, what did they do to fix it? Good question. Is it that one? Yeah, the beaver fixes the house. Once upon a time, in an ancient and deep forest, there lived a wise princess in a big wooden house. One night, a particularly violent storm shook the house. It shook the shingles on the roof and the planks in the walls. It even shook the beams on which the house stood, blowing the whole thing near to the ground. The princess hid in a closet, fearing the house would come down on her as she slept. In the morning, the house was still standing, but it was badly damaged. The storm had blown shingles off the roof and planks off the walls, and even bent the post upon which the house stood. The first two things she could fix, but the last concerned her. What will I do? Despaired the wise princess, for though she knew many things, she did not know how to fix the big wooden house. Just then the old bear came by to see if the princess had any trouble in the storm. When he found her nailing planks back into place, he said, "Stop, princess, let me do that for you." "I'm happy to do it," said the princess, "but if you want to help with the roof, you may." When the pair were done with the roof and the walls, they examined the bent support post. "I could throw my body against it," said the old bear. "I am very large." He stretched upon on his hind legs, being sure the princess could appreciate how very large he was, then charged straight at the post. He threw his body against it with an impressive thud. The impact moved the post, but too far, and it ended up bent the other direction. The wise princess decided more precision was needed. She thought then of the very old beaver who kept an excellent crafted dam. Perhaps she can help. She went looking for the very old beaver and found the industrious animal hard at work, slapping down mud on part of her dam that had been blown apart in the storm. Most of the structure was unharmed because the beaver was very good at building things. The princess knew she had come to the right place. "Beaver," she said, "my house was damaged in the storm. Would you help me fix it?" "I believe I could do that, yes," said the very old beaver, and she paused at fixing her own then to follow the princess. The very old beaver examined the big wooden house and nodded. "It will be an easy fix," she said, and set about righting the post with loud slaps of her tail. When she was done, the wise princess stroked the beaver's head. "Thank you, beaver," she said. "The wind blew the shingles off the roof and the planks off the walls, and even bent this post. Now, thanks to you, I still have a home." "Think nothing of it," said the very old beaver, who returned to work on her own den once again. That winter the very old beaver grew ill, very ill. She was not able to fix her den, nor gather food. When the princess found out, she set about delivering meals to the beaver. She brought stews of corn and beans and baskets full of bark and twigs from the beaver's favorite aspen. One day the wise princess noticed that the beaver's den had begun to fall apart. She set about fixing it, and though she was not as talented as the very old beaver, the fix kept the creature warm and dry. "Thank you," said the very old beaver. "Of course," said the princess. "You helped me when the storm blew my house near to the ground. Thanks to you, I still have a home, and I'm happy to do the same." The princess continued to nurse the old beaver until the day she came to the dam and the forest was still. No birds sang, no branches rustled, no small things skittered with the underbrush. "Oh," said the princess, staring sadly at the dam, for she knew the old beaver had passed. "Goodbye, my friend." No! No, I am not crying. And that is how the very old beaver saved the big wooden house, and how the wise princess repaid her kindness. That is Eddie's mom, right? That's gotta be it. So we're fixing the roof.
She fixed the roof shingles.
And the wall planks.
She fixed the planks that were blown off the walls.
And...
She
that.
slapped the post with her. All right.
Okay. Oh god. I'm gonna grab a tissue real quick because that's gonna make me cry if that's something from Eddie's mom. Oh boy. Now we gotta take a look at this.
Yeah. That must have been rough on Eddie.
Yeah, he doesn't really like to talk about her.
Dear Mary Ann, you cover your ears every time I try to have this conversation with you, so I thought I'd have a better chance doing this in a letter. I know you don't like saying goodbye, so I'll keep my melancholic rambling short and sweet. I want to thank you with all my heart for taking care of me for these past few months. I can't even imagine how exhausting it must have been for you to look after a sick old lady when you also have 2 small children at home. I know you want me to keep fighting this disease and hoping for recovery, but it's always been a great strength of mine to know when it's time to let go, and that time has come. I'd like to ask you for one last favor. Fuck. Please take care of Eddie after I'm gone. My poor boy puts on a brave front ever since his father died. I know he's in pain. I would be so much more at peace knowing he still has family. Maybe he could teach the kids how to fish? He loves spending time with them. Thank you for the warmth and the peace you brought to my life. Give the kids a kiss for me, will you? Carol. Oh boy. It's so sad. Oh. Isn't it amazing how much stuff can make you feel even though it's totally fictional? But I can really imagine how that must hurt. Both Mary Ann and Eddie and his mother. Jesus Christ. Give me a second. Good. And I know we do not need to do all of these and fight all of these, but I really do like completing a story in total and not just the parts. Yeah, the parts mandatory for the whole story. So yeah, the crafty goblin's good deeds.
The crafty goblin's good deeds.
Of course. The goblins had to help out the creatures of the forest to pay off their debt to the pelican.
Well, what did they do?
You know, I don't really remember.
So it's story time again. Okay, which is it though? Is it that one? Is it that one or that other one? It might be that one. Okay, the pelican forgives the goblins. Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient forest, there lived a pair of crafty goblins in a cave below a big wooden house. They lived with a wise princess who shared as much food with them as she was able, but it was never quite enough. This left the goblins hungry, very hungry, always hungry. One day, as they were out foraging for food, the pious pelican landed on a rock and dumped a smorgasbord from her beak, which the goblins knew was magic and never emptied. There were king crabs in red, blue, gold, and scarlet, veiny blue shrimp, pink-shelled scallops, oblong brown clams, purple spiny urchins, and even one prickly red sea cucumber. The food just kept coming. They watched as the pelican ate one clam and then took a nap. "Do you think she would mind if we took just a little?" asked one goblin to the other. "Her beak never empties. She won't possibly miss a couple of crabs," said the second, licking her lips. They were agreed, and so they crept over, filched some crabs, and ran. The goblins scarfed the crabs, but when they finished, they found that they were still hungry. She won't miss a handful of shrimp, said one goblin to the other. The goblins scarfed the shrimp, but when they finished, they found that they were still hungry. Maybe also a few scallops, said one goblin to the other. The goblins scarfed the scallops, but when they were finished, they found that they were still hungry. So they went back for clams and then urchins and finally even the sea cucumber. Finally they were not hungry, but there was also nothing left. Just then the pelican woke up. What happened to my food? She asked. Unable to lie about it, the goblins confessed their crime. The pelican was dismayed, but she was a charitable-hearted bird, and she could tell the crafty goblins were growing little creatures. Goblins, said the pious pelican, I will share my food with you, but you must, in return, follow my example and be as generous with others as I am with you. Take that to heart, and I will have considered your debt paid. But we have nothing to give, said the goblins. You have your nimble hands and your crafty brains and your loving hearts, said the pelican. The crafty goblins realized how much they had to give, and for the rest of the day they looked for ways to help the other creatures of the forest. They found the stalwart moose struggling with an itchy, hard-to-reach spot on his back, and so they climbed up and gave it a good scratching. Next, they helped the old bear who could not get the honey out of a narrow beehive. They climbed up to the top of a tree with the hive and then dropped it, cranking it open. Finally, they found the princess crying over a loss she would not speak about. So they wrapped their little arms around her in a great big hug and stayed until she felt better. When they were done, they returned to the pious pelican. Did it feel good being as generous as I am? Asked the pelican. It did, said the goblins. I am glad, said the pelican. We all have problems that we can't solve on our own, but if everyone goes about with generosity in their hearts, then there is always someone on hand to help. But we all must commit to do so, or there may be no one there to help you when you need it. This made sense to the goblins, and they thanked the pious pelican for her food and the lesson. Of course, by this time they were hungry again, and that remained an ongoing problem until the day the stalwart moose taught them to fish. But that is another story, and that is how the pious pelican forgave the crafty goblins and how she taught them charity. Oh, I love these stories. They did hire a great story writing artist. And in the story, Mary Ann was a great writer. So the moose, they scratched the moose, they broke down the beehive, and they hugged the princess. Good, yeah, we dropped the beehive.
Broke open the beehive for the bear.
Scratch the moose.
They gave the stalwart moose a good scratch on the back.
And then they hugged the princess.
They hugged the princess when she was crying. Nailed it.
Good, what did we get this time?
Our lives would have been so different if their friendship hadn't gone to shit.
Tessa, The Pelican Crossing is a specialty gift boutique located near the O'Shea Glacier, catering to Gatineau Channel tourists as well as Delos Crossing locals. We specialize in an assortment of high-quality products from home accessories, handmade souvenirs to personalized apparel and locally made art. The Pelican Crossing will be the first store to act as a relay between the buzzing arts and craft scene and customers. In addition to a wide array of novelty handcrafted products, the consumer will enjoy friendly and knowledgeable customer service from Weki store co-owner Tessa Weki and upcoming artist Mary Ann Ronan. This business plan is prepared to obtain financing of the amount of $20,000 to purchase inventory and to help cover expenses in the first year of operations in year 1. The Pelican Crossing plans to break even, and in year 2, we plan to generate a moderate profit. Oh, so she wanted to work with Tessa and sell her art. Working on the executive summary part of our business plan. What do you think, Tessa? Oh, that's lovely. But that's not all. There's way more to it. Wow, these arts and crafts look really good too.
The old bear's gifts for the princess. I'm totally blanking on that story. What did he give her again?
Why don't we open up the book and check?
Yeah, let's do that. The bears? Is there more with the bear? Yeah, the bear and the princess. Once upon a time, in the ancient and deep forest, the old bear stood on the bank of the river, swiping at salmon on their way to the spawning grounds. Just as he got his paw on a particularly fat one, he heard a woman shouting for help. He considered simply eating his salmon, but then she screamed again, and he lumbered over to investigate. After a short walk, he found the princess clinging to the top of the tree, while a wolf snared and snapped at the base of the tree. Old Bear would normally not get in the middle of such a situation. After all, as a fellow predator, he understood the wolf's need to hunt. But when he saw the princess, he was struck by her beauty, and he knew he had to help. With a great roar, the bear heaved onto his hind legs, rising to his full height. The wolf snapped and snarled in his direction, but the bear roared again, and the wolf took off into the trees, tail between his legs. The old bear fell back down onto all fours and stared up at the princess. She regarded him fearfully. "You can come down," he said. "How do I know you didn't save me just so you could eat me?" asked the princess. "I suppose that is a fair question," admitted the old bear, "but I promise I won't eat you." The princess had no reason to trust the old bear, except that he had kind eyes, and so she slowly made her way down the tree. When she reached the ground, the bear only watched her, and so she supposed she was not going to be eaten today. "Thank you," she told the old bear. "Of course," he said. "Can I walk with you back to your home?" "Of course," said the princess. And so the princess and the old bear walked together through the forest back to the big wooden house. After that day, the princess would occasionally find gifts from the bear: a fresh caught salmon, a handful of ripe berries, a newly bloomed bluebell. One spring, when a sudden thaw flooded the path out of the princess's home, the old bear was there, and she rode his back across the river. The old bear began to think that the princess should be his mate. After all, she had no mate, and she needed one, and he could keep her warm and provide her a much more suitable den and catch fish for her, and protect her from wolves. She, in turn, would brush out his fur and pick berries without smooshing half of them, and scratch that one part of his back he just couldn't reach. And with how she took care of the goblins, she would be an excellent mother for his cubs. One day, the old bear came with a ring of spruce and asked the princess to be his bride. "I'm sorry," said the princess. "You are a very good friend," he got friend-zoned, "and I appreciate all you've done for me, but I cannot marry you. You're a bear. I'm a princess. It would never work." The old bear was crushed. "Can we still be friends?" he asked. "We will always be friends," said the princess, "but I will never marry you." The old bear and the princess carried on their friendship, and after 1 year, he tried again to ask her to be his bride, but once again she refused him. This happened 1 year later, and 1 year after that, and then finally the princess said, "Old bear, you are my dear friend, and I appreciate all you have done for me, but I would sooner you have left me to the wolves than marry you, and this is how it will always be. I have my hands full with the 2 goblins who live under my house, and they are all I need." That wounded the old bear deeply, but it was finally enough to stop his proposals. They remained friends, and he continued to give her gifts of fresh salmon and ripe berries and newly bloomed bluebells. But the old bear never again asked the princess to be his bride, much as he might have wanted to. And that's how the princess befriended the old bear, and how she refused him. Oh, Sam tried multiple times to propose, and she always turned him down, even though he was such a good friend. And okay, that's sad. Poor Sam. Okay, so freshly caught salmon.
Fresh caught salmon?
The bluebells? Where are flowers?
Some roses, maybe?
No.
Or not. A handful of ripe berries?
Yes.
Hazelnuts?
No.
Wait. A newly bloomed bluebell?
Yes.
Nice. Man, he had it bad. Just couldn't let go.
Sorry for the note under the door like a prison inmate. You okay? I stopped by and rang a couple times this week, but you didn't answer. I could see the light in the hayloft, so I figured you were in, but didn't want to talk. I hope I didn't ruin everything. I know I probably came on kind of strong, but the thing is, I don't know how to talk to a woman like you. You are strong and kind and you know so much it's hard for me to know how to keep up. I guess all that went to my head, but I want you to know I got the message and I'm gonna get out of your hair now, and there doesn't need to be any bad feelings. We can pass in the street and say hello or not, it's okay. Yes, I noticed your car was leaking, so I put some sealant in there. You might need to take it to the shop though. Let me know if you want me to come with you, because sometimes these guys try to rip you off. If not, no big deal. Sam. Oh. I feel bad for him. Where did Alyson go? Oh, she's here now. The crafty goblin's loot.
The crafty goblin's loot.
That's from The Princess and the Two Thieves.
Yeah.
I drew the original.
And I distinctly remember drawing that cake, which is arguably the best part of that illustration.
All right, Picasso. And you
Oh no!
probably remember what the goblins stole in that story, huh?
No, we haven't read it, but we're gonna read it. That is that one. The Princess and the Two Thieves. Once upon a time, in an ancient and deep forest, there lived a wise princess in a big wooden house. The house was built from the strong wood of the forest, and it kept the princess warm and safe. The princess was not a native of the forest, but she never spoke about where she had come from, for it made her cry. She did not have many friends, but that was how she liked it. The forest was big and deep, and many paths led to her house, but not many visitors passed by. The princess was happy to be left alone in the big house in the deep forest. She knew that the forest would provide for her, but that its generosity had to be respected, so she only took what she needed. And for a long time, life was just fine for the princess in the big wooden house. One winter day, when snow blanketed the earth and ice bent the trees low, the wise princess realized that food was disappearing from her house. It was not much at first, only a few fruits and nuts, and eggs vanishing during the night. Maybe it's the birds, she said, or the mice. And for a time, the princess was okay with losing some food, for the winter was long and little creatures needed to eat too. But then small items started to disappear as well. Spoons and plates, forks and knives, and blankets. It was as if every time she was in one part of the house, something disappeared in another room. That can be the birds or mice, said the princess. I think I have a thief. So she went outside to look for traces in the snow and noises in the wind, but there was nothing to be found, nor to be heard. That's strange, said the princess. Maybe the thief is hiding inside my house. For many days she hunted, looking behind the curtains and under the bed, in the attic and the chimney, behind the poles and under the carpets, but she found nothing. And as she searched, food kept on disappearing night after night. I will make a cake, frowned the princess. A big cake with every egg and fruit and nut I still have, so that I only have one thing to keep my eye on. She spent the whole day making the cake and using everything she had left. The cake she made was so big she could hardly carry it. If I manage to protect the cake, I'll be able to survive the long winter, she said. So she added a lock to the oven and she kept the big cake safe inside. But the next morning, the lock had been opened and the cake had disappeared. At first the princess cried, because that cake was the last of her food until the snow melted. But then she noticed 2 trails of tiny feet in the spilled flour, and she followed the tracks to a hidden hatch in the floorboards. This is how the princess realized the 2 tiny thieves were living under the wooden house right below her feet. So we stole... Oh no. No. We stole a cake and blankets, spoons, plates, forks, and knives. And fruits and nuts and eggs. Okay.
Maybe they took some of the princess's fruit? Some flour for the cake, maybe?
No.
Actually, I'm not sure. What if they took some spoons?
And eggs?
I'm pretty sure they stole some eggs. That's it.
It's a drawing.
I always wondered where that drawing went. She said it was her favorite, and then one day it just disappeared.
You're the best mom in the world, the prettiest princess. Oh, that's cute. Okay, so did we do all of them now? Yeah, then I want to look at those things. Set down, what?
The Ice King goes in the forest, obviously.
Oh, we have the figures.
We'll let the mangy muskrat have his rock back. There you go, stalwart moose. Back in your pond, big frog.
We don't have all of them.
Gold lady stays locked up in her castle.
We do not have the beaver.
Moon hag's gotta be imprisoned in her lake.
Mad Hunter.
The Mad Hunter, always on the princess's trail. That's the pious pelican spot. The wise princess goes in the big wooden house, of course.
And that's the crafty goblins.
Crafty goblins go here.
So we're missing 1, 2, and 3. God damn it, we missed 3. I thought we had all of them. Okay, well, so that about doubled the length of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I loved hearing all of Marianne's story. She was really creative, and this attic is beautiful, and I wish I could paint like that. It's beautiful. I love everything about this. And I will see you the day after tomorrow with what I only suppose can be the finale of Tell Me Why, where we find out probably who our father and thus the Mad Hunter is. Servus!